Hey everyone, so this is the video that everyone's been waiting for. The first part was fragrances that my sister doesn't like. So we're going to go into a more positive note with this one. These are fragrances that she does like. If you notice here, this is my stack of samples. I've got a lot of samples, and underneath this table is a bunch of different fragrances. There's not going to be really much time to talk and describe all these fragrances, so I'm going to have to go through it very quickly. So I apologize if you don't really like this format of videos where I'm not talking too much about them. There's just a lot I have to get through very quickly. We'll start this off with one of our favorites, which is Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. No, it's not Forever, it's Intense. Light Blue Intense. So this is a pretty good safe fragrance. My bottle is obviously a little tiny sample. Fresh, aquatic, salty, a little bit synthetic in the opening, very basic, mass appealing, safe. Girls absolutely love this one, or at least my sister does. One of her favorites, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Intense, and that's the men's version as well. Next would be CK Defy Calvin Klein. This is only a small bottle that I have, very small bottle. Fresh, synthetic, very cheap smelling, but it's very clean, basic scent with a nice kind of scratchy, peppery vetiver in the dry down. But it's very subtle, it's not that noticeable, it's just a good cheap freshie. I personally use it for layering. I like to layer it. It's not one of her favorites, she just likes it. She doesn't hate it, basically. Don't go out your way to buy this. It's not her favorite, if you put it that way. So next, something that is kind of one of her favorites, it's Acqua di Gio Profondo. She actually prefers the original EDT and the new EDP Acqua di Gio, but she doesn't really like Profumo, and Profondo, she kind of likes it, but she likes the original more. So it's in this list because I only have the actual bottle of the Profondo. Salty, a little bit green, aquatic, citrusy, very good performing, high quality smelling fragrance. So this smells very high quality, but it is again very basic, mass appealing, and it is quite masculine as well. Another one, this was actually the first fragrance she bought for me. It's called David Beckham Signature. Most celebrity fragrances aren't that good. I've used a lot of this bottle, as you can tell. This was one of the first fragrances I ever had. I've had this bottle for years. But that's the reason why this is like almost empty, because at the time I had this, I didn't really have any other fragrances to use. But this has a melon, aquatic, melon, citrusy type smell in the opening. It's very cheap smelling. It doesn't last very long at all, but it is very nice and pleasant. My sister really likes this one. It was actually one of her favorites, which is why she bought it for me. But I think at the time she hadn't really smelled that many men's fragrances like she has now. Although it is a good cheapie, can't go wrong with it, except the performance is horrible, so don't expect good performance out of it. Next, the box is like broken, so I'm going to try not to actually drop it. Dolce & Gabbana The One EDT. So this is the original, just the original The One EDT. I prefer this over the EDP. A lot of people prefer the EDP. I don't get performance issues with this, maybe because I spray like 20 sprays out of it. But this has always been quite a strong fragrance for me. Whenever I wear it, it is quite strong and I love it. Ambery, a little bit sweet, fresh, very unique smelling. Nothing really smells just like this. I don't think there is a clone of this anywhere that you can get. So very original, except everyone's wearing it and it's a little bit overhyped now, but sensational. My sister doesn't even like sweet scents that much, but this is one of the sweet scents that got her hooked, and you'd be surprised, it's actually one of her favorites as well. The One EDT. It's one of her favorites. Next is a niche fragrance I just kind of recently bought, and I'm wearing it right now on my clothes. It's called Navitus Siesta Drive. Navitus Siesta Drive. So this is a niche lemon, citrus, vanilla-y kind of smelling fragrance. It smells like a lemon meringue or a cheesecake It's very fresh, very sweet, very creamy, absolutely sexy, sensational. I love this to bits. It's instantly became one of my favorites, and my sister does actually like this a lot too. Especially it's a fresh fragrance, but it's also sweet. And that's generally what girls like, is the fresh, sweet fragrances, or they just like fresh. So next is something, I had to buy a tester of this because I didn't have much money when I bought it. And it was a blind buy, and it was one of the best blind buys I've ever got. It's Mont Blanc Starwalker. Starwalker, they actually came with a cap, so I was super happy. It is a tester bottle, as you can tell, and it was used. I'm regretting buying this as a used bottle because I realized how much I love this stuff when I actually smell it. And I was like, I had to show my sister, I'm like, you have to try this, you'll love this. She smelt it and she was blown away. This stuff is just great. It's got this really nice bamboo, citrusy bamboo, watery, earthy, woody smell. Like a damp wood, but fresh. It's not like the moldy fungus type of damp wood. Sometimes you get a really bad damp wood. This is fresh and just so good. The next is a discontinued gem, and ironically it is also a sweet fragrance. It's Prada Luna Rosa Black. Luna Rosa Black, discontinued gem. Very powdery, vanilla-y, or tonka, I should say. It's tonka, powdery, and almost a little bit leathery. I find it's leathery, but there is no leather in here. I'm pretty sure that's just my nose that's picking up on this leathery smell. It's once again a very unique but basic scent. Super basic but very unique. Nothing smells like this, and anything that does smell like this has already been discontinued by now, so it's really one of its kind. And yes, my sister does like this. So on the topic of Luna Rosa, there's also Luna Rosa Ocean. Ocean is a little bit, it is basic, but it's got a little bit more depth than the Luna Rosa Black. So this is your typical blue scent that's been made better by putting iris in. Luna Rosa Ocean. What you get, this citrusy, powdery, very just mass appealing. It's not that aquatic, it's more citrusy with a hint of iris in there. And I've compared this to like Bleu de Chanel and Dior Sauvage and Dylan Blue. So it's like a Frankenstein's kind of scent. It takes a bit of all the popular blue fragrances and then it adds the iris. And for me, it's the iris that makes this one my favorite blue scent. As of currently, it's my favorite blue scent. And yes, my sister does love it, but it's not one of her favorites. She just likes it. But what is one of my sister's favorites is YSL L'Homme or L'Homme. Who wouldn't really like YSL L'Homme or L'Homme? Everyone loves this stuff. So it's such an old DNA. It's not like, what's the word? It's not like a vintage scent or anything. It's just more like from the early 2000s. And this stuff's really powdery, clean, sexy. There's no way you can go wrong with this. It's just such a good scent. Very versatile all year round. The only problem is it doesn't perform well. It doesn't last long, but it's really worth buying the biggest bottle you can and soaking yourself in it. I can't have one of these lists without Bleu de Chanel. Even though I think Bleu de Chanel is overrated and it's not one of my sister's favorites, this stuff is like, it's just mass appealing and it's just inoffensive. So that's what it is. It's an inoffensive scent that my sister likes and I like it. Bleu de Chanel, this is just the EDT. Doesn't perform well, but it definitely inoffensive, smells great. And the quality is this best feature is the quality smells extremely high quality. All the ingredients are very natural and pleasant. So it doesn't smell cheap, definitely doesn't cost cheap for us. So something that does smell a bit cheaper, but she likes it anyway. It's called Jimmy Choo Man Ice. So this one is a lemonade smelling scent. Very icy cold and fresh. Yeah, it smells like icy cold lemonade. Really good for hot weather. And if you've ever smelled Dior Homme Cologne, it's like a Dior Homme Cologne. You can pick this up pretty cheap at a lot of discount stores or even retail. But once again, it doesn't perform very well. It's a very weak scent. But what you get is super fresh, super icy cold lemonade. Next is another discontinued gem. It's by Ralph Lauren. Sorry, I keep looking out the window to check if the mailman's here, the delivery guy. Polo Red Intense. This stuff is so good. It's like cranberry, red fruits, leathery, sexy, sweet, fresh. I think it's very unique in its scent profile, where I haven't smelled anything like it, and this stuff is just amazing. Polo Red Intense. I haven't tried the original Polo Red. I'm going to have to, because there's no way I can live without this scent in my collection. It's just, they discontinued it and you can't buy these bottles anywhere. So the next best thing would be the original EDT or the EDP, because it's really just the cranberry note that like is the main thing I like in here is the cranberry with a little bit of synthetic ambroxan. Makes it really fresh and sweet. Another hype beast we got here, it's YSL White EDP. YSL White EDP. You cannot have a list without obviously putting this in here. Easily one of her favorite scents, maybe top 5. She actually prefers the Eau Fraiche over the EDP, but she loves them both. I still think the Eau Fraiche is the better one. And I think this, it's hard to choose between this or the Le Parfum, because the Parfum is like more floral and softer and more balanced. This is a little bit sweeter, louder, and some people might prefer this over the Le Parfum because they don't really like the floralness. The lavender sticks out a bit too much in the Parfum. So you're gonna hate me for this next one, but I gotta do it to you. It's Nautica Voyage. It's hyped up for a reason, and that reason is because it's such a really nice smelling scent. Nautica Voyage. This can be quite hard to find because of its popularity, and it's always selling out everywhere, and it's very cheap. This stuff is like very aquatic. Some people say the opening's like a cucumber or a melon. I seem to think it's more just aquatic with like a little bit of apple in there. But I do get what people mean. It is a little bit cucumbery, but it doesn't ruin the fragrance for me. I actually like that because it adds to that aquatic feel. It makes it a little bit more watery, and that wateriness just makes it more aquatic, and it's really good. Only problem, it's synthetic, very synthetic, like citrusy opening as well. I do get okay performance out of this, so I don't get bad performance. I get like 6 to 8 hours with Voyage. It's not the worst performing fragrance. And for its price, this is an absolute steal. Just amazing stuff. I fell in love with Voyage. For a long time, it was my favorite blue scent. Okay, so next is also another one of the first fragrances I ever owned. Wore it a lot as a teenager. You'll see the bottle. Just the original Invictus. I've used a lot of this stuff. Funny thing is, I never finished this bottle, but this was like one of the first bottles I ever owned. So I've never actually bought another bottle, but I wore this stuff literally every day. Back then, I wasn't spraying like 20 sprays like I do now, but fresh, synthetic, loud. It doesn't smell like bubble gum. It's just a fresh sweetness. We have some jasmine in here, some citrus, and it's really good. I don't care what people say. I like this stuff, and it's going to be a nostalgic thing for me because I personally wore it a lot when I was younger, and I got a lot of compliments for it. So I can't hate on it. And for the same reasons, I'm also putting Boss Bottled in here because yes, my sister does like this too. But it's also a nostalgic fragrance for me. Also one of the first I owned. This is number 6, by the way, so just a classic Boss Bottle. And this stuff has macerated so well in this bottle. This bottle is so old, and trust me, if you can buy an old bottle of this, it smells so good once it ages and macerates in here. This has become 100 times better than when it was fresh. Like, the smell of this is so deep and invigorating. It's like, I wasn't always a big fan of this, but I can tell you this DNA has macerated like fine wine, and it's so good right now. I don't even want to spray it because it's just a shame to waste this stuff. Next, it is hyped up, but it's not as hyped as the Eau Extreme version online. But of course, it's Chanel Allure Homme Sport, just the original Allure Homme Sport. I prefer this over the Eau Extreme. This is a little sweeter, and a little bit more heavy on the vanilla, which I prefer. It's got the creaminess that I actually look for, where I don't get the same creaminess out of the Edition Blanc or O Extreme. But this is good if you want something sweeter. If you want something fresher, go with O Extreme, because the O Extreme has mint in it. And yes, my sister likes this for a specific reason actually, because it reminds her of Versace Pour Homme, which also ironically smells very good. And that is in this list too. On the topic of Versace, we'll go Versace Eros, one of my personal favorites. One of the only sweet fragrances my sister actually does like. I've used a lot of this stuff. You can see the lineup. I use this all the time. Wow. I haven't smelt this in actually a while, and just, man, every time I come back to it, I appreciate it like the first time I smelt it. That vanilla, that opening is just so good. That's what hooks me every time. I find it to be a sexy scent. A lot of people aren't going to find it that sexy. I don't think it's really most people's cup of tea by the sounds of it. It gets quite a lot of hate, but it also gets a lot of love. My sister likes it, I like it. I think most girls will like it, but most men probably won't. So the hate comes generally from men. Like, it's usually just men hating on this. So like, I don't care, I think it's great. And another Versace fragrance you may prefer over Eros is Dylan Blue. My sister likes this one too. This was one of her actual favorites. When she smelt it, she actually wanted to buy a bottle for her boyfriend so she could wear it for herself. This is incredible. And Dylan Blue, this is my number 1 or number 2 favorite right now, which is as strange. I'm not really much of a fresh fragrance guy, but this isn't that fresh to me. I find it to have this synthetic ambroxan. It does have a sweetness, but it's that screechy ambroxan that makes this so sexy. Trust me, there's a deepness in here, like an incensey, woody, fresh citrus. I can't explain how good this stuff is. It's a masterpiece. Everyone has to buy this. Actually, no, don't buy it, because I don't want to smell like everyone else. Keep it as a secret. If you do buy this, don't tell anyone what you're wearing, because I want to smell kind of somewhat unique. I don't want to smell like everyone else. The next, Cool Water Intense, was more of a recent buy for me. My sister does prefer the EDT over the Intense version. I prefer the Intense, so I'm just putting the Intense in here, but it could be EDT as well, either one. I think I've said it before in my other review of this. That coconut vanilla-y sweetness with that citrusy lime coconut combination. Incredible. I don't know if it is actually lime. There is a white floral smell to this, which some have said is like tuberose or something, but my goodness, this stuff hooks me. It's one of those fresh, sweet fragrances. Very heavy on the sweetness, but it is quite fresh. And it does have a little bit of an Eros Tonka vibe to it. Oh, I love this stuff. I would spray it on me right now if I wasn't already wearing a fragrance. Funnily enough, I got this at a chemist, completely slipped under my radar, and I had no expectations of this. It was just kind of like an impulsive buy. I just bought it impulsively, just during the moment, and it smells great. The lady at the shop sprayed this in the air, and I think I told the story before. There was another lady in the store, and she was like trying to sniff the air, and then she's like, "What's that smell?" She's like, "What did you spray?" And she fell in love. All the ladies in the shop love this stuff at first spray. It's Ralph Lauren Polo Sport Fresh. Polo Sport Fresh. Not the nicest bottle, but it is a really pleasant smell. What you're gonna get here is like a grapefruit, citrusy grapefruit, fresh, masculine. I wouldn't say it's that synthetic, but there is like some ambroxan or aldehydes or something in here that does make it like not 100% natural smelling either. But this is great though. Musky, that's what it is. Musky, grapefruit, citrusy with like that synthetic ambroxan-y smell. My sister likes this, I like it. I actually wear this when I get out of a shower, because it's perfect when you hop out of the shower just to spray it on. Most underrated Ralph Lauren fragrance, I think. So actually this is one of her favorites. It's Coach for Men. I personally prefer Coach Platinum, but my sister prefers just the original Coach for Men. Yes, Coach for Men, the horrible bottle, horrible atomizer. But this stuff is like a nice fruity, pear, powdery scent. I compared it to like, I think it was Percival when I first smelled this. I was like, it's a little bit like Percival with pear in it. Like if Percival had like a pear opening, like a little bit fruity, I think it would be pretty close to this. Same with like Abercrombie and Fitch. It also smells a little bit like Beckham Respect, which is like a cheaper body spray. But obviously this is way better. So fantastic scent, huge compliment getter, Coach for Men. Don't sleep on Coach for Men either, just because it's not the best designer brand name. It really doesn't matter. Designer brands, completely irrelevant. What you want is the smell, not the brand. So I know Jeremy says brand matters and everything, but it really doesn't. What we've got here is another Ralph Lauren fragrance. Also one of the best blue fragrances, I think. Definitely one of the best performing ones. So some may think it's beast mode. I think it's just a good 8+ hours. Really unique smell here. It's got this greenness, this mango, a little woody, very aquatic. I think this is a nice aquatic scent too. A little bit salty, fresh. Awesome bottle. I want a bigger bottle though. Another staple you must have in your collection. Obviously great for men. It does smell masculine and it could be worn by older men too. Next, also one of the first fragrances I owned. It's just your classic 1 million. None of the flankers. It's just the original. I think you already know what it looks like. Just that gold bar. This is very sweet, fresh, woody, spicy, oriental, but none of the spices in here are offensive at all. It's super mass appealing, sexy. I think it's one of the sexiest fragrances. Even to this very day, even though it's overworn, overrated. Alright, so my camera had just obviously stopped filming for a second, but what I was talking about is 1 million, and I was just basically saying that even though it's a little bit overplayed, a little bit played out now, like overworn, overhyped, I still think it's one of the sexiest fragrances, despite that, like being overhyped and everything. So next is Le Male Le Parfum. I'm not even going to take it out of the base. Obviously black bottle, Le Male, you all know the bottle. If you haven't heard of this, you're living under a rock because everyone talks about this one. My favorite flanker, one of my favorite fragrances. Obviously very sweet. It's a lot better balanced than Ultra Male. This has iris in it and it's powdery. Super sexy. I think this is one of the best fragrances of all time and my sister likes it, so gotta put it in the list. Okay, another one. I actually bought this just because it was one of her favorites when she tested it. But obviously, I realized after I bought it that a small little 2ml tester is nothing compared to this horrendous bottle. But either way, this stuff is a lot stronger and it smells a little bit different when you spray it on your clothes compared to like one spray on skin. So definitely this is a beast mode fragrance. It's Carolina Herrera Bad Boy. Just the EDT. Don't get the Parfum. Stick with the EDT. This is already beast mode fragrance as it is. Lemony, citrusy, tonka, sweet, fresh. Really good fragrance. I think it's actually a little bit underrated. Now I've got all these samples I've got to power through really quickly. The ones that she likes obviously. So Azzaro Chrome Extreme. Green, citrusy, smells like Acqua di Gio. Creed Virgin Island Water. Lime Coconut, smells like MFK Aqua Universalis. Also a little bit floral. Acqua di Gio EDP. Very salty. Ambroxan Aquamarine. Chanel Allure Home Sport. Oh no, sorry, it's just Allure Home. This is edition blank version. Burberry Hero. Lacoste L1212 Blank, or also known as Lacoste White. We also have YSL Y Le Parfum. We also have Mazzoni Wave. She likes Mazzoni Wave because it's smells like Allure Home Sport cross with Versace Pour Homme. Next, Dior Sauvage EDT. Very sexy, even though it's just like 1 million, it's a little bit overplayed, a little bit overdone. It's just really nice as well. Dior Sauvage, it is scratchy ambroxan, citrus, a little bit peppery, masculine sex. Dior Homme 2020 is in the pack just at the end there. Dior Homme 2020. Very woody, citrusy, musky, manly but fresh, mass appealing, safe, inoffensive, great inoffensive scent. I would say safe blind buy. So MFK, Aqua Universalis, smells feminine, floral, citrusy, pretty high quality stuff. It's pretty good. So next, Xerjoff Uden, citrusy, creamy, vanilla-y, like a Lua Home Sport, but a niche version, a little bit creamier. So Ralph Lauren, Ralph's Club, creamy vanilla, sweet, creamy lavender, sorry. A creamy lavender, sweet, with a little bit of freshness in the top. Quite a dense scent though, it is a little bit dense. Next is Parfums de Marly Greenly, green apple, it's apple and it's green as in like woody. Very masculine, quite long lasting, it's pretty good scent. Not safe blind buy though. Next is Percival by Parfums de Marly. Percival is a safe blind buy. Doesn't perform that well, but it's powdery, sexy, mass appealing, safe. It smells just like Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce, but like a more mature version. Next is Parfums de Marly Sedley. Sweet, fresh, a little bit like incensey, wood, sexy. It has this sweet kind of incense vibe to it though. Not an old man or a mature incense. It's more of a, not smoky, but it just adds a little bit of deepness. There's some depth and deep richness in here that you get in Sedley. Overall, it's a basic citrus scent that is a little overpriced, but it is sexy, mass appealing. So next would be Dior Homme Cologne. Lemonade, ice cold lemonade, a little bit floral, but mainly just a basic citrus scent, and that's all it is really. Icy cold lemonade citrus. Next is Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce. So powdery, sexy, a little soapy, clean, fresh, has some sweetness, very well balanced. Mass appealing, safe fragrance. Everyone loves Fierce. Now, First Instinct by Abercrombie & Fitch. Melon, fresh, sweet, sexy, a little bit more youthful, more unisex, not really a mature scent at all. So First Instinct, more of a more playful, unisex, melon, fruity scent. Next is Versace Eau Fraiche. Smells a little bit like Mont Blanc Starwalker, but without the bamboo, and a little bit fruitier with the star fruit in here. More citrusy, more fruity, a little sweeter than Starwalker, but another safe, mass appealing, fresh scent. Next would be Goldfield & Banks Pacific Rock Moss. This is one of her favorites actually. Pacific Rock Moss has like an oak moss kind of aquatic fresh smell, but then there's a citrus in here. Then there is also like a melon type of vibe, but there is no melon. It's just kind of like a very beautiful fresh sweetness that you get, a rich sweetness that I love. Next is F Black by Ferragamo. Powdery, soapy, sexy, cardamom, apple, lavender. Some people think it smells like KFC wipes, but I think it's just very clean, fresh, basic, not safe, but it is a very nice clean scent. Another reason I'm rushing is because my camera is on 1 bar of battery, so I have to go through these quickly. Luckily, last box here, there's only one in here that she likes, which is Versace Pour Homme. Aquatic, salty, marine, citrusy, has a nice synthetic ambroxan opening, which just hooks me. I love the opening of this synthetic ambroxan with this salty aquatic marine smell. It dries down into something a little bit more like Allure Home Sport or Mazzoni Wave, but great stuff. This is actually was her #1 favorite for a long time, Versace Pour Homme. And if you're wondering what her favorite is now, her favorite is YSL Y Eau Fraiche. And then the next is probably like Mont Blanc Starwalker or something like that. That's all of the scents actually. She's very fussy. I have quite a lot in here she doesn't like. I've let her test basically all of these, and she hates like the majority of the ones, like the majority of the samples. She doesn't like them because I like more of my sweet scents and she doesn't really like sweet scents. I let her try Roja Elysium. She does actually like Roja Elysium, but for some reason I can't find my sample anywhere. I don't know where I put it, but it should have been in this box somewhere, but it's not in there. So I'll just add that to the list. Rosia Elysium as well, she likes that. And Rosia Elysium is just like this basic citrus, fresh, almost like Bleu de Chanel. It's woody, it's citrusy, but then there's some leather in there and some green notes as well. So it's a little bit more mature version of Bleu de Chanel. It's a little bit leathery, a little bit more blackcurrant with some green notes in there, which is, it's not a safe blind buy as well, because I would say Bleu de Chanel is more mass appealing than Rosia Elysium. And for the price, it's also overpriced, so I wouldn't even bother buying Rosia Elysium unless you have the money to spend, and yeah, it smells great. So that's all. Thank you for watching, and now you know what my sister likes. Hopefully my sister's opinion reflects the majority of women's opinion out in public, because she's very basic. She likes the most basic mass appealing scents. So all the ones that I've given you are going to be pretty mass appealing and safe to buy. Pretty much wear them and you'll get compliments as well. So yeah, that's just what I can say. And if you disagree with some of these fragrances, let me know in the comments. I'm always open to hear your thoughts on them, because I know a lot of these, some of them are my favorite and some of them aren't my favorite. So, you know, we have different tastes, but for the most part, I like them all. I think they're all safe, inoffensive, and hard to hate fragrances. And that's generally what she goes for, is the stuff that smells nice with nothing bad in there. Like, there's nothing that you can really hate in those fragrances I mentioned, okay? Thank you for watching, and peace out, guys.